appropriation has been frozen. Now the county's tax revenues during that period have grown by 78%. So if our appropriation had risen with, as a percentage of tax revenues, we would be a lot better off than we are now. But that has not happened. Instead, owing to the effects of inflation, we've had an effective 23% cut over the past 2 years. And that just isn't working. Next. Our current funding level puts us way behind the state average. Just as we are behind the average for amount of space that we have for our library system, we are way below the state average for local government funding. On average, $16 a person. Our average, about $4.50 a person. This is our current deficit. Ellen and her staff, again, have done a heroic job over the past year in cutting every conceivable cost without harming essential services and without cutting back hours. But there isn't any fat in this budget. You know, we are, watching when we turn lights on and not running air conditioning if we can help it at this point. And there's not another dime to be squeezed out. We are going to have to cut hours. We're going to have to cut services. We're going to have to lay people off, and we don't want to do any of that. We want to expand. We want this to be a better library system, not a shrunk and diminished one. And that brings us to the tax referendum. The tax referendum is really the only thing that gives us a predictable source of funding. Some people have said, why don't you get more grants? Why don't you do more fundraising? Why don't you have a campaign to increase bequests to the library? We can do all of that, but you can't write a budget based on the expectation that somebody's going to die and leave you a bequest. You can't write a budget hoping that you'll be the recipient of a grant because somebody else's grant proposal won't be funded instead. We need to be able to count on a stable source of funding to run the library as it needs to be run. And so it needs to be, it should be up to the voters, and that's where we are. We want the voters to have the choice, but we think it's clear that the cost of a tank of gas, the cost of coffee and a donut once a month is a pretty small price to pay for everything that a really good library system, which we already have the bones of, but we really need to build on. That's what we all hope that you'll decide to support. We need your help. We would love assistance in gathering petition signatures to put this matter on the ballot. We'll be collecting signatures between August 5th and 25th.
4th and 25th.
4th and 25th. We need to educate the voters, and we need to get people out to vote in November. So if anybody wants to help us, please see anybody on the library staff, the library board. Look at our website. Our referendum chair is Kathy Brannon, and she'd love to hear from you, as would any of us. So thank you, and if anybody has questions, I'm happy to answer them, or if somebody else is better at it, they can do it.